Imagine this. A man, over 70 years old, standing trial for his life in ancient Athens.
Right.
He's not begging for mercy, not weeping, not parading his family around.
No, none of the usual tactics.
Instead, he's delivering this powerful, almost defiant speech, a speech that's echoed through history, really shaping thought for millennia. That's the incredible scene we're stepping into today.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're taking a close look at one of the most famous trials ever, the trial of Socrates, specifically as Plato captured it in his Apology. We'll unpack the core accusations against him, his really surprising defense, and the insights that still resonate from this key moment. Our mission really is to explore not just what Socrates said, but maybe what Plato, his most famous student, intended to convey about his master.
Yeah, what makes this text such a cornerstone? Why philosophy? Why Western thought? And why does it still challenge us?
Exactly. We'll look at the charges, Socrates' pretty ingenious counter-arguments, and his ultimate view on life, death, and what it truly means to be wise. And I think it's crucial to understand right from the start that while we call it the Apology, it isn't a verbatim courtroom transcript like we might think of today.
Okay, right.
It's more like Plato's ideal of Socrates. It's a carefully crafted literary piece that really captures his spirit, his character, at the height of his influence.
So a bit like how Thucydides wrote Pericles' speeches.
Exactly. It conveys a deeper truth about the person, the situation, even if not every single word was, literally spoken. It's aiming for the essence.
Okay, let's unpack this. So it's less like a court reporter's transcription and more like a carefully crafted portrait. If it's Plato's ideal, does that mean we should approach it with a certain lens? Maybe prioritize its philosophical weight over, say, strict historical accuracy?
I think that's a fair way to put it. It absolutely breathes the spirit of Socrates, but it's been, let's say, cast anew in the mold of Plato's genius. It is a philosophical portrait.
All right, let's dig into Socrates' opening move then. He starts by immediately setting up his unique communication style. He tells the judges he won't speak like some juvenile orator or use fancy set orations duly ornamented.
Right, no rhetorical fireworks.
Instead, he promises to speak the whole truth in his usual way, just like he would in the agora, the marketplace, or, among the money changers.
It's like he's trying to make the courtroom just another place for his everyday philosophical chats, not a formal legal battle.
Yeah, and he doesn't waste any time going after his accusers. He says they almost made him forget who he was. They spoke so persuasively.
Yet hardly uttered a word of truth. Big claim.
Huge. And he calls their claim that he has powerful eloquence shameless. Unless, he says, they mean the force of truth.
Which he admits he has. It's a subtle jab, isn't it? Their eloquence is tricky, deceitful. His is just truth.
It's really interesting to hear how he frames the fight. He sees two groups of accusers, and for him, the official charges, they aren't even the main event.
Not the biggest hurdle?
No. He's much more worried about decades of, bad press. He calls them the older charges from many years, basically the ingrained prejudice.
Yeah, the stuff from Aristophanes' play clouds, painting him as this weirdo who speculated about the heaven above, searched into the earth beneath, and made the worse appear the better cause.
Exactly. And then there are the later ones, Miletus, Anytus, and Lycon, the guys actually bringing the charges. But he says he fears the older, nameless accusers more. They poisoned minds from childhood, he argues.
That's actually a really smart approach. Socrates knew that overcoming years of public slander, stuff fueled by poets and gossip, that was way harder than just refuting legal points.
Right. These old ideas made people ready to believe the worst about him, a huge barrier before he even starts his defense.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's get into those specific accusations and how he tackles them. First up, the charge that Socrates is an evildoer and a curious person who searches into things under the earth and in heaven.
And he makes the worse appear the better cause, and he teaches the aforesaid doctrines to others, basically painting him as a dangerous intellectual, a natural philosopher, maybe even a sophist.
And Socrates just flat out denies it.
He does. He says he has nothing to do with physical speculations, natural philosophy, none of that. And he strongly denies being a paid teacher, like the sophists. Gorgias, Prodicus, Hippias.
The big names.
Right. He says he has nothing to teach. He even uses irony, praising some guy, Ivanus the Patarian, for teaching virtue for, 5 minae, which wasn't much.
Implying if he had that wisdom, he wouldn't be selling it so cheap, maybe.
Sort of, yeah. Or maybe they wouldn't charge at all. The key thing is he's drawing a very sharp line. He's not one of them. He doesn't charge. He doesn't claim to have wisdom to sell.
That distinction is crucial. Okay, accusation number 2. Socrates is a doer of evil who corrupts the youth and who does not believe in the gods of the state, but has other new divinities of his own.
This one's more direct, hits closer to home, tapping into fears about social order, religious tradition.
And this is where his famous method, the Socratic method, really comes out, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. He immediately goes after Meletus, one of the accusers. He
Yeah.
challenges him. Okay, if I corrupt the youth, who improves them?
And Meletus says, everyone.
Pretty much. All men everywhere, except Socrates, which is a bit broad.
Just a bit. So Socrates uses that horse analogy.
Right. Only a few people, trainers, can actually improve horses. Most people, if they try, probably injure them.
So his point is,
It's absurd to think everyone improves the youth except him. And besides, he argues, why would he intentionally corrupt the really people he has to live with? That would just harm himself in the end.
that makes logical sense.
And if it was unintentional corruption, well, then Meletus should have just taken him aside, warned him privately, not dragged him into court.
What's fascinating here is how Socrates just dismantles the logic. He forces Meletus into these corners, these contradictions.
Yeah, exposes how flimsy the concern really is. Meletus seems, well, maybe a bit out of his depth here.
He really does. Okay, then the big one, impiety. He does not believe in the gods of the state, but has other new divinities of his own.
And Meletus doubles down, right? Claims Socrates is a complete atheist, saying he believes the sun is just stone, the moon is earth.
Stuff other philosophers were saying, maybe?
Exactly. Socrates basically says, hey, you're confusing me with an Anaxagoras. Everyone knows his ideas, they're old news.
Okay, so how does he counter the main charge, the new divinities part?
This is brilliant. He leads Meletus into what he calls a facetious riddle. He points out Meletus is accusing him of not believing in gods at all.
But also accusing him of believing in and teaching about divine or spiritual agencies, like demigods, spirits, sons of gods.
Right. And Socrates says, logically, you can't believe in the children of gods without believing in gods themselves. It's like believing in mules, but denying horses and asses exist.
Aha! Okay.
So he says, this just proves Meletus hasn't thought it through, that the accusation is sort of reckless, almost wanton.
So what this all means is he's basically saying Meletus's accusation contradicts itself. It's illogical on its face.
But precisely. He's not just denying the charges, he's showing how badly constructed they are, undermining his accuser's credibility step by step.
Okay, this leads us to a really key part of his defense. Why does he have this evil name? Why the bad reputation in the first place?
And this is where he reveals the origin story, really. It all goes back to the Oracle of Delphi.
The famous declaration.
Exactly. The oracle declared that no one was wiser than Socrates, but Socrates, believing he knew nothing, felt he had to refute the oracle. So he set out on this Herculean mission.
A mission to find someone wiser than himself.
Yes. And this is the birth of his method. He goes around questioning politicians, poets, artisans, people with reputations for wisdom.
And what does he find?
He finds they think they know things, but they actually know very little. They imagine they know everything.
Whereas he
Knows nothing, and crucially, he knows that he knows nothing. That awareness is key.
So his conclusion from all this questioning?
That God only is wise, and that true human wisdom is basically recognizing your own ignorance. That's what the oracle meant.
Wow. So this mission, this constant questioning, this became his life's work.
Consumed his life, he says. Led to his utter poverty because he wasn't working a normal job. And, unsurprisingly, it generated bitter enmities. People don't like having their ignorance exposed.
No kidding. And then you add the young guys.
Yes, the young rich men who apparently found it amusing to watch Socrates deflate these pompous figures.
And they started imitating him.
They did, which of course just fueled the resentment even more among those being exposed. It spread the problem from the establishment's view.
It's like his method was infectious, so all this explains the animosity. But then there's his divine sign. What's that about?
His divine voice, or oracle, as he calls it. Something he says started in childhood. It's a purely negative sign, though.
Meaning?
It always forbids him from doing something if it's a mistake, but it never commands him to act.
Interesting. And this is why he stayed out of politics.
That's his explanation. He believes that no man who goes to war with you or any other multitude, honestly striving against lawless and unrighteous deeds, will save his life. The sign kept him away from that danger zone.
So it's not a god telling him go do philosophy, but more like a warning system, keeping him off a path that would likely get him killed sooner, leaving him free for his philosophical work.
That seems to be the implication. And he offers proof he's not a coward. Despite avoiding politics, he brings up specific examples of civic courage.
Right, like the trial of the generals after Arginusae.
Yes, he was the only Prytanis, a kind
Yeah.
of council officer who opposed the illegal collective trial, stood against the crowd.
And defying the 30 tyrants.
Yes, refusing their order to arrest Leon of Salamis, which was incredibly dangerous under that regime. He says these actions show he wouldn't yield to injustice from any fear of death.
This raises an important question. Is it courage, or is it obedience to this higher divine calling that defines him here? Or maybe both.
I think it's profoundly intertwined, isn't it? His courage seems to stem directly from his obedience to that inner voice, that call towards truth and justice.
Yeah, that makes sense. And as the trial moves towards the verdict, his stance doesn't waver at all. He refuses to beg.
Absolutely refuses. No bringing his 3 sons out, no weeping, none of the usual courtroom drama.
He thinks it would be disgraceful, dishonorable.
Yes, discreditable to myself and to you and to the whole state. He says a judge's duty is to judge according to the laws, not based on pity or entreaty.
And asking a judge to break his oath by appealing to emotion would be impious.
Especially, he points out, when he's on trial for impiety, it would be hypocritical.
So the verdict comes in?
And he's convicted. Despite the, brilliant defense, the logic, he's found guilty.
But it was close, wasn't it?
Incredibly close. Plato tells us if just 30 votes had gone the other way, he would have been acquitted. Narrow margin.
Okay, and then comes maybe the most astonishing part. They ask him to propose a county penalty. What does he think he deserves?
And his answer is just mind-blowing defiance or maybe supreme confidence. He suggests maintenance in the Prytaneum.
Free meals for life. Like an Olympic victor.
Exactly. The honor given to heroes and benefactors of the state. He argues he is a benefactor. He's persuaded citizens to care about virtue and wisdom, the improvement of the soul, not just money and status.
Wow. He contrasts his poverty with the rich sophists again here, too.
He does. Basically saying, look, I've done more good for you than these guys, and I'm poor because of it. You should be honoring me, not punishing me.
So what about other more realistic penalties?
He shoots them down one by one. Imprisonment. That's like being a slave to the jailers.
Exile.
He argues, look, if you Athenians can't stand my discussions, why would people in other cities put up with me? And crucially, he says he cannot stop his philosophical mission. That would be disobedience to the god.
And that's where he says it.
That's where he says it. The unexamined life is not worth living. He literally cannot stop doing what he does.
So exile is out. What about a fine?
He says he has no money, though his friends, Plato, Crito, others, they offer to chip in, suggesting a fine of 30 minae. But Socrates implies even that isn't his chosen penalty. His chosen penalty is honor.
The unexamined life is not worth living. I mean, that line still hits hard today, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. It's this profound declaration of purpose. His very being is tied to this philosophical quest, and he won't give it up, not even to save his life.
So facing death, he has no regrets about his defense.
None. He says he'd rather die having spoken after my manner than speak in your manner and live. He argues that avoiding injustice, unrighteousness, that's more important than avoiding death. Injustice runs faster than death.
What does he mean by that?
He suggests his accusers, by condemning him unjustly, have already been caught by the faster runner unrighteousness, while he, facing death, is only caught by the slower one.
That's powerful. And he has a prediction for his accusers, his condemnors.
He does, a kind of prophecy.
Yeah.
He tells them his death won't end the questioning. It will actually lead to far heavier punishment for them.
How so?
More accusers will rise up, he says. Younger, more inconsiderate people who will challenge them even more harshly, precisely because they killed Socrates to escape the accuser and not to give an account of their lives.
So silencing him will backfire.
That's the warning. He tells them the best way isn't silencing critics, but improving yourselves, a direct challenge to their motives.
But then he turns to those who voted to acquit him. He offers them comfort.
Yes, profound consolation. He reveals that his divine sign, that inner voice, which usually stops him if he's about to make even a small mistake, it was silent.
Throughout the whole trial, the conviction, the sentencing.
Completely silent. He interprets this silence as a positive sign, an intimation that what has happened to me is a good, meaning death, in his case, is not an evil.
That's quite a perspective shift, a divine okay for his death.
Almost, yeah. A philosophical comfort derived from that inner sign. It suggests his path, even leading to death, was the right one.
And he speculates on what death might actually be like. Two possibilities.
Right. First, maybe it's just nothing. A state of nothingness and utter unconsciousness. Like a deep, dreamless sleep.
Which he called.
An unspeakable gain, better than many waking days filled with trouble. Just peace.
And the second possibility.
That it's a change and migration of the soul from this world to another. A journey.
And if it's that, what does he hope for?
He hopes to meet and converse with the heroes of old Orpheus, Homer, Ajax, Palamedes, and crucially, to continue his mission, his search into true and false knowledge.
And he throws in a final bit of irony there.
He does. He notes that in the other world, presumably, they do not put a man to death for asking questions.
Even facing death, he's still Socrates. It really shows his commitment to inquiry, doesn't it?
Absolutely unwavering. So he concludes, based on all this, that no evil can happen to a good man, either in life or after death.
Because the gods are watching out for them.
That's the sense. He feels his death was permitted by the gods because, somehow, it was better for him to depart now. It was his time.
Which allows him to forgive his accusers.
Yes. He says, they have done me no harm, even though, he adds, they never meant to do me any good. It's an incredible display of acceptance, of rising above it all.
And he has one last request for his friends, the ones who voted for him.
A very Socratic request. He asks them to trouble his own sons later in life.
Trouble them how?
If his sons start caring more about riches than virtue, or if they think they're something when they're really nothing, he wants his friends to question them, challenge them, annoy them, just like he did to others.
Keep the mission going, essentially. Keep challenging complacency.
Exactly. Ensure his legacy of critical self-examination continues, even within his own family.
And then the final words, that famous paradox.
The hour of departure has arrived, and we go our ways, I to die and you to live. Which is better, God only knows.
Wow. Just leaves you hanging there, doesn't it? Such a powerful, humble admission of the ultimate uncertainty.
It really does. A perfect Socratic ending.
So we've walked through this incredible defense. It really is a masterclass in, well, intellectual courage, moral conviction.
Definitely. His commitment to that mission of self-examination, his radical views on wealth versus virtue, his seeming fearlessness about death, it all comes through so strongly in Plato's account.
Yeah, and it feels like more than just ancient history. Plato's version makes it this timeless exploration of what it means to live meaningfully, right? To question things, to stand up for your principles.
Absolutely. It really pushes you to think about your own life, your own values, even today. How much do we examine our own lives?
Which brings us perfectly to our final provocative thought for you listening. If Socrates is right, if the unexamined life is truly not worth living, what aspects of your own beliefs, your daily routines, your assumptions, much like those of Socrates' Athenians, might actually benefit from a really rigorous, maybe even uncomfortable, cross-examination?